Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is straight out of Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we're back with episode 19 of the Around the League series, and today, ironically, we are doing the Utah Jazz. Now, this is pretty funny. If you guys don't know, this is my new association team for my new association series after I did accidentally delete, so to say. I really overwrote the save file, but it basically deleted the Pistons Association 1. So anyway, without further ado, I gotta talk about the Utah Jazz, even though I'm probably gonna be talking about them a lot in the near future. So anyway, this is a team that has made the playoffs last year, likely gonna make the playoffs this year, barring any collapses or anything like that. Good veteran roster with some youth around it. I'll just kind of go through. Al Jefferson, guy, 6'10", 289, big, kind of built like a center, but I think he fits naturally at the power forward position a little bit more. Definitely though one of the best centers in the NBA. Career year last year, really thrived on the T-Wolves. When he first came to Utah, a little bit shaky, but it's really improved the last few years, really the last year and a half or so. And I really like Al Jefferson. I think he's a great player. As to if the Jazz should re-sign him next year, I don't really know. I think Enes Kanter's a baller. I really think they got to let that guy play. So I think maybe they should think about letting him go. Same with Paul Millsap. I think they got to let Paul Millsap go too, because Derek Favors is another guy who's got, Favors and Kanter have insane amounts of youth, insane amounts of potential, athleticism. Kanter not as much, but Favors is crazy athletic. Millsap's an undersized power forward. He's really versatile. Was 4th in the NBA in steals last year. His power forward's pretty crazy. Good mid-range game, kind of good post-up game, good pick-and-roll-ish game. Him and Jefferson do really well as offensive bigs. Defensively, Millsap not as much, even though you do get the steals, and I think you get like a block a game from him. Just rotationally and interior defense is not the strongest on this team, in which Derek Favors and Enes Kanter will really help out if they do decide to move forward with them in the future. As for the other kind of veteran type player on this team that really is the leader on this team is Mo Williams. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I just fell in love with him when he was on the Cavs. I remember playing an NBA Live 10 game against one of my friends, and I dropped like 40 with Mo Williams. All of them were like turnaround three-pointers. I just love Mo Williams. He's one of my favorite players. Not that he's really amazing. He's had a good year this year, probably his best year of his career, quite frankly. He's been a backup for the last year and a half or so on the Clippers, although I think he might have started the second half of that first year on the Clippers. And before that, he was on the Cavs, obviously, and the Bucks, I think. But I really like Mo Williams. He's an expiring contract. He's been good for the team so far this year, though. I'm curious to see if they re-sign him or if they maybe go after a point guard in the draft or something, because I think that's really their biggest need at this point. But anyway, another starter on this team, I believe he starts as Randy Foye. Randy Foye's a good young player. He's a good shooter. He's kind of considered a bust. He was drafted very high by, I think it was the Timberwolves. He's kind of bounced around a little bit. Spent part of his career on the Clippers most recently before signing with the Jazz this offseason. He's a good player. He's a good shooter. I don't think he's a starter, but I think he's a worthy role player in the NBA. I think he can live as a role player in the NBA. I think he's that good. I like him. He's a good shooter. Doesn't really do much else, but every team can use shooters, especially coming off the bench. So I like Randy Foye. Not as a starter, but certainly as a backup. Now, Marvin Williams, probably one of the biggest draft busts of all time. Atlanta Hawks fans hate this guy. Drafted, I believe, right ahead of Chris Paul and Darren Williams, two of the best point guards in the NBA at this point. And it's, a lot of people thought that this guy, once he kind of got out of Atlanta, could kind of put some things behind him, stop trying to be Chris Paul and stop trying to be Chris Paul, stop trying to be Darren Williams, and just be Marvin Williams, because we know Marvin Williams has talent. He was drafted highly out of North Carolina, went to a very good school like North Carolina, under a very good coach in, I'm forgetting his name, oh my god. Holy crap, how do I forget his name? Anyway, Roy Williams, of course. I don't know how I forgot that name. Just mind farted or whatever, but he struggled and he's overpaid, and I don't know where he's going to go after this year, because I don't think the Jazz are going to re-up his contract, and I'm just curious to see what happens to him. It'll be interesting. Clearly has talent. He's a good shooter. I know him mostly for clotheslining Rajon Rondo in that playoff series about 6 years back. But yeah, he's just, he's not that great. I don't think he's really a starting caliber small forward in the NBA, but he's got talent. I think he can be a backup at some point. just, you know, on some sort of team, maybe even like the Thunder, a team that really needs a backup small forward, something like that down in the future, down the road or whatever. I'm going to kind of blow through some of the bench guys. Gordon Hayward is one of my favorite young players in the NBA. He's really good in my opinion. When he plays, he's been hurt a little bit in the first few years of his career. It just hasn't got ample playing time. But when he plays, he really shows something. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good, solid player. Probably could become a starter for this team if he's not already. Let's see. Earl Watson, good young point guard. Jamal Tinsley, savvy veteran. I like Alec Burks. He's really improved since he was drafted last year. Rajah Bell, good veteran defender. MyCAREER, Jeremy Evans, but he's a good dunker. What can I say? I kind of talked about Favors and Kent already. Both those guys are the future of this team. They really need to move forward with them, in my opinion. Other than that, there's only one guy left, Kevin Murphy, who I've honestly never heard about. Probably was just signed to a 10-day contract or something, because I've honestly never heard of the guy. So anyway, that's really what my thoughts were on the Utah Jazz. It's a good team. They have some building blocks, but they certainly need to build their wings, their point guard position. You know, you can't compete in the NBA these days without a good point guard. And don't bring up the Miami Heat, because you know what? LeBron James is the point guard of that team. And don't bring up the Lakers because, well, they suck this year. And ever since Phil Jackson, the only system in the NBA that I know of where you can survive without a point guard is the triangle. And ever since the Lakers stopped running the triangle, they haven't been a good team. So anyway, other than that, you know, look at any top team. They have a good point guard on their team, on their roster. Like I said, LeBron's basically the point guard of the Heat. And, yeah, so anyway, that pretty much is going to wrap up this video. As for my predictions for this Jazz team, they'll make the playoffs. They'll probably be the 7th seed, maybe the 8th seed. Kind of depends on how their last 15 to 20 games go. Really 20 to 25 at this point. And they'll be a first-round exit. I don't think they really have any legitimate shot at beating either the Spurs, the Clippers, or the, you know, Thunder, whoever they play. Probably be either the Thunder or the Spurs. They could move up to the 6th seed potentially if the Warriors continue to falter, but I think the Warriors are going to hold on to that 6th seed just because they have like 16 of their final 22 games at home, and they're a really good home court team. So that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you think of the Utah Jazz below. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'm out.